All right. Good morning, everyone. So welcome to our workshop on the LSIC Lunar Surface Innovation Consortium Surface Power Focus Group. Our workshop on low temperature power and energy storage for the lunar surface, and we've also narrowed that down a little bit to be the sub-kilowatt regime. But all of that gets to be a lot on a title slide. So um, we are fundamentally interested in lunar surface, and getting at the low temperature capabilities is really key. So um, I'm going to go through some opening slides, and then we'll get the workshop started, what I would say, in earnest. All right, so many of you have seen this slide. This is why we're doing this. This is the summary of what we're doing. Um, we all know that the thermal extremes of the lunar surface are beyond what we've developed for terrestrial technologies, and in particular for surviving the lunar night and operating in those permanently shadowed regions where temperatures can get down to the tens of Kelvin, which we'll hear about from Ben Greenhagen in just a moment. So I would be remiss, because this is our normal monthly telecon meeting time, not to mention the critical stuff from our surface power focus group. So a couple things that are also relevant to this workshop as well. The advanced power systems for deep space exploration. This event is going to be end of August. You can still register. Looks like it's going to be a really outstanding session there as well. There's League coming up as well, AIAA Ascend, and then especially relevant for this workshop, I want everyone to be on the lookout for news about a potential CLIPS workshop coming up. So all of the stuff that we're doing here is not just for STMD, but we're going to feed that as we can to all of the relevant stakeholders who really care about solving this problem. Um, Anytime you want to look at that more complete calendar, it's on our LSIC website. And you can email us as well with additional events that you'd like to see added to that calendar. Either myself or Josh Cahill there also will be able to get those on the calendar for you. Solicitations, we always care about what you need to apply to get to the money you need to develop your technologies. So there's a lot here that are always relevant to our surface power focus group, and of interest to those here as well. Okay, so now we can get on to the real workshop. So why are we having this workshop, and why right now? So fundamentally, surviving the night and operating during the night enables longer duration use of those surface assets. Those limited lifetime limitations to things like CLIPS and Viper really do constrain those missions. So there's a lot more to know if we don't die when we're in the dark. And operating in the night enables science and technology um, that's relevant for understanding what's happening during that lunar night and within those PSRs. There's, LSIC is part of the LSII out of STMD, NASA STMD, and they're always interested in knowing how to refine their capability areas. We work very closely with our point of contact, John Scott, and so we want to know, STMD is interested in knowing how to refine those capability areas, including things like alternatives to plutonium-based, um, I guess, the existing RPS, such as DRPS, and other radioisotopes, which we'll hear about a few times today. Low temperature battery modules, not just one particular element of a battery which is meant to operate at low temperatures, but the module level solution. And of course, fuel cells and chemical heat and power. There's a wide set of stakeholders that are interested in this domain. So on the lunar surface, that's one component as well. But a lot of these ideas are also relevant to terrestrial technologies as well, although the scale of temperatures does change. And there are lots of different components that can come together, and ideologies about how we design for surviving and operating during this lunar night. And that's a really core aspect of what we want to try to motivate with this workshop, is to motivate system level design that considers that lunar extreme environment. So here's our workshop agenda. So I want to take just a moment to go through the agenda and what's going to happen in these sections. So I'm doing this opening now. Next, we're going to hear from Ben Greenhagen, about lunar thermal environments, and I think it may be a little bit more just how the moon is extreme. Um, then we'll have our panel discussion where we'll hear from people who are covering more or less a very diverse set of perspectives on how we can enable survival and operation through that lunar night. Then we're going to have a lunch break after that panel. Then we come back with lightning talks at 1:30. We've got 12 lightning talks over that hour, so each about 5 minutes. And they're going to survey a whole bunch of recent technologies, which are going to be very useful for us to understand in the broader context of system design. Um, then we've got Marshall Smart, who I'm very excited for his talk, who's going to give us some very insider knowledge, I would say, of low temperature batteries and chemistry. As one of the founders of the field, I would say. Then I'm going to do a bit of a description of the breakouts that we're going to run at the end of the event, and then we'll have those breakouts discussions, which will target specific scenarios, and I'll talk more about that in just a second too. And then finally, we'll end for the day and have I may have a 3-day weekend. Um, So what do we want to actually get out of this workshop? So always interested in increasing the knowledge within the community of what is existing and what's in the very near term for capabilities and what those current problems are. Um, of course, as I said, that we want what details you might have that can help us refine those power capability area parameters, stuff like energy storage levels, the system solutions that might be appropriate for to target for funding. Of course, you're always here to do networking and get insight for future workshops that we can put together. Um, and we're always interested as the LSIC in what we can do for the community. So you don't have to think about this as APL running the meeting and telling you what to do. You can tell us what you need to enable progress. And then I always put in, APL core value includes even having some fun. So I hope everybody will actually enjoy their time here. And I want to encourage you to have fun with what you're doing today, right? Because if we're not doing that, then why are we doing it? And we fundamentally want your insight. So we want to hear from you, from those people who are in the trenches developing these technologies and who've tried and failed before. A lot of times those are some of the most important lessons for us to learn. And there's a long history of trying to do this stuff. So I'm very interested in hearing what everybody has to say and what you can bring.